We have to listen to this. Sometimes with everything that's going through our mind, we tend to forget that this is our navigation. This is our guidance. This is what tells us, keep going, slow down. But we skip that whole part because of time. There's not enough time to bring myself there. You guys dedicated this time to be here, so I allowed this time that you're dedicating to go back to you. That's the time where we listen to our heart. And that is what tells us how to navigate through life. Truthfully, in by way of how we are supposed to experience life. But because of our existing programming, that time gets shorter until we forget that it's even talking to us. And we just know that it's there and it's beating and it's just happening. But when you take that moment of stillness, as far out of that stillness, some people hold their breath to, again, get to the point so that they can really feel it. But when you pull yourself to that point of stillness, that is the moment where you know it's true. You're here. That's the truth. You are living, and there's a reason why you're here. And there are things that are just happening that's beyond you. It brings you into that moment of presentness. Everything that was done in the past has already been done. Those are just clouds that moves through your forehead. They don't really exist. They're just clouds. Plans that you have also are clouds. Those two don't even exist when we were there. See, the truth is that where we don't think, we don't have this illusion of the self, of the outer world story. The outer world story that creates this self-image of who we think we are. Therefore, with that moment of we don't even keep ourselves still, we just expedite ourselves to decisions based on our existing paradigms and programming, therefore creates our outcome, the reality that we're living in. That's like, why does it feel like I always have to do something? That's even a programming, depending on where you're born in the world. Everyone's something means something else. So why is that even the correct way to do things? By way of science, if you have consistency of something, then you can definitively call it for what it is. And here I go back to talking about who you are. You see, at that moment of stillness, when you understand that these are just clouds that forms in your head, and when you pull yourself to that moment of stillness where you were just finding your heartbeat, because again, that's the only truth at that moment. We realize that we are separate from that story, because that's the story that keeps you thinking the way you're thinking. That story of whatever we think that happened in the past based on obviously our experience in human life, or what we plan to do in the future. And so when you boil it down to that moment where, okay, I am not my story, but I am here and I am present. We go back to who you are. And who you are, again, is this energetic being. This is the science that could be proven. Just a bunch of small little particles of matter, like of atoms that formed into matter. And it just goes, because everything, all matter takes into form. So we are now in this form. You are now in your form. But molecularly, the absolute truth of that present moment where we went is that we are just this energetic being vibrating, moving, glowing. These can all be proven, and it's always been proven. Experiencing the reality by which we are connected to vibrationally. So let's go back again. I am now this energetic being. This is my present moment. My story is not me. I got that. Next instruction. I now have to think, okay, well, whatever I'm experiencing in life, if it is also just these energetic things that are also vibrating within their own frequency, therefore I'm connected to that reality. And if there's an alternative reality that I'd like to experience, whatever that looks like for you, it is by way of connecting to that existing idea, because there's no unique ideas in this world. Everything exists here and now. That's what the topic of abundance. It was never not there. It's always been there. You just haven't thought about it. That's it. Like someone could be living in a jungle and they just think of a tire, and they've lived their whole life not having anything, and they realize that, a ball will roll. But it's an existing idea. There's nothing that is yours. There's nothing that is mine. Those even are concepts outside of that natural flow of state of presentness. Those are ideas and concepts and paradigms that we are formed into. There is really nothing that is ever yours or mine. We created that again based on this generational curse of scarcity mindset. And it comes in many forms. It doesn't just come in forms of people being cheap, of taking the lesser bag of chips on the store. It's deeper than that. And you know what? It controls your whole life. It controls your outcome, and it controls your destiny, like where you're going and where you're propelling for the rest of your life, and everybody else's around you, your family as well. And so the subconscious programming as well then creates this continuum that's making us operate in fear. And it makes par parents that have children operate in fear, or people maybe not want to have kids because they're operating in fear as well. We're just, and we're mirrors of each other. We can see this. You see, what you say in the outer world is how you feel inside. The ugliest things that we see in the outer world is how we feel inside. And we are all mirrors of each other. There's so much more for the taking. And so when you go back again to that moment of presentness and that stillness, and you realize that you are just this energetic being that's vibrating, at and you're tuned in, same way you're tuned in here, you're tuned in. And all you've got to do, because you have the consciousness to, is switch that vibration, change that form of that energy by way of consciousness. The way we can do water into steam. What would you be thinking now? Because that happens subconsciously. So at any point in time, if any of these subconscious programming is going through you and you're moving through your life, and so you're making these ideas and you're making these decisions, that is what you're subconsciously, vibrationally connecting yourself to. So how often should we be thinking then? All the time. We should be thinking 5 times. Like we should be like in that moment of stillness is like before we do anything, we should we should be creating the outcome of abundance so we can operate at our truest nature, which we are energetic beings vibrating at a certain level of frequency, experiencing life the way we're experiencing it. And it's just a matter of thought, whether it's conscious or subconscious. These habits, some people might just have these. It's really, really interesting. I encourage you guys to listen more to people. Like literally actually listen to what they're saying. They're not really saying anything. People are not really saying anything. Hi, how are you? Good, you? Good. I want to get out of Toronto just because of that. You're not really asking me how I am. You're just doing it habitually. You don't like the disconnect with the heart with another person makes this world so much more bitter. Because how could you be you can't you can't it's easier for someone to disrespect a person they're not connected to by the heart. But that happens when you're not connected to your heart as frequent as possible, because it should be leading us. If you feel it, you should feel it in your heart when you hear it, to take you in that path of confidence, that know that it is wherever you are is where you need to be. Whoever you're with, whatever it is that you're doing is the right thing to do. And you are in the absolute right path. And whatever it is that you want to do or create vibrationally too, the universe will conspire and a lot better than you can even imagine yourself to experience it. Because it always does. It always does. And you know what? All we have to do is appreciate it. And then somehow that's already a part of the system of that input saying, I accept the gift of abundance, input, output, I accept it. And then what happens is a door opens, more abundance comes. because you are now connected by new subconscious programming to these new forms of seeing abundance and accepting them as where you stand. You are now in flow. You are no longer resisting. You are now operating at where we're supposed to be operating at efficiently. These machines. What stops it is our breath, because every time we hesitate, we like stop it. And then we start to think. So we create inconsistencies. Hence why people, again, go back to it, why people get sick. Why sickness is correlated to stress levels. It is by way of nature of not understanding who we are, where we don't need to put ourselves in that mental turmoil, create these auto activations within ourselves, know that we need to bring ourselves here. And if we can automate that, start thinking to connect ourselves vibrationally to those ideas to which we want to experience. Knowing that whatever it is in that present moment is true. Whoever you're working with is the right person. Whatever you're doing is the right thing. And all you've got to do is be your best character at that moment. And just relax. I know it sounds like it's a long list, but it feels right. It prolongs your health, because that's what we're supposed to be here for, alive and contributing. So, see, that is the abundance that we need to be operating from. Not the abundance of money. Because that's the idea that we are programmed into, is that the only form of abundance is money. It ruins families. People are choosing money over families. Relationships. What a mess. And it doesn't even mean anything. It is fake. Gold is real. It's more value. No one has gold to be fighting the way we're fighting for it. What is going on? We're like not helping each other because of it. And it doesn't mean anything. And so to operate from a place of abundance to the truest nature of who or what we truly are, we then start to think, how can I be so much more productive and not in a stressful way, but it's like, what can I do? What more can I think? What more can I contribute as an output, as an intentional output in this universe for me to experience life the way I want to experience it, the way I want my loved ones to experience it, and the way I personally think the world should work, whatever that looks like for you. Which, as long as you operate from love, again, not from the existing paradigms that creates the fear, innately, by way, you will experience what it is. Because again, you are already experiencing the thoughts that you've created based on your existing paradigm. It's been working this whole time. Look up. The sky's the beginning. Make those dreams realize. Because you've already created and realized the dreams that you have. Now take the time to think bigger and have fun.